I try to stay away from haters. I try to stay away from hating. But at times that becomes the topic of public discourse, and I'm forced to talk about it. Whenever there's money to be made in something, there's always going to be opportunists showing up to come get their dollar. There's always going to be a hound or a vulture just waiting in the wind for their time to come get what it is that they want. Some people don't know that they're doing it, and some people are doing it intentionally. But in hip-hop, there's something to beware always: the culture vulture. There's people that will say, do, and portray anything to get in, get some money, and get out. And when it comes to music that's culturally significant, like hip-hop, it doesn't matter if you do it with negative intentions. It doesn't matter if you do it with positive intentions. It doesn't matter if you don't do it at all. No matter what, if you're not 100% of the culture, you will always have to fight the culture vulture allegations. I guess this is a step-by-step guide on how to not go down the wrong way. If you know me, you know I don't really like to make the argument that you can't make hip-hop if you're not black, or if you're not disenfranchised, if you're not an immigrant, if you're not impoverished, or whatever the cultures may have been that came together to make hip-hop in the first place. But there's an argument that can be made that it's definitely a lot harder for you to be authentic within the culture if you're not one of those groups of people. So what really started this whole conversation, at least for me, is, of course, Tyler, the Creator.
Some kid right now, this white kid, regular, like, Caucasian man, and he's, like, mocking Future and Gucci Mane, like, rap music. And, like, people are like, this shit hard. It's not even, like, satire. It's like, I'm just joking, I'm just mocking it. But I'm like, no, you can't do. And I hold rap music so close. Me too.
Todd did not put a name on what he was saying at all, but it struck home for a lot of people, and apparently a hit dog on holla. I like to let the Twitter discourse play out before I really make my comments, just so I can see where the chips are falling on either side. And I feel like we've seen enough dragging on both sides to, you know, start an impartial conversation. Is Ian a culture vulture? I think the answer is not yet. And the most important part of that is yet, because it's always a possibility. Because as of right now, he's just participating in hip-hop. In his mind, much like in my mind, if I was to go make, you know, some country or some EDM right now, he's just making some songs that he likes with a genre that he's grew up on. He's what Donald Glover would like to call a young white avatar.
Hey, young white avatar. See, you gotta get one and train him and nurture him and try to catch him all.
Nigga Pokemon.
Exactly.
From this, you can kind of see what people's frustrations are. But can you really blame them? You have to know your audience. And the market for hip-hop from a dark-skinned black man talking about his life experiences is only but so wide. If you want to reach a wide audience, you might have to touch a white audience. Bars. But that in itself is not enough to be a culture vulture. Honestly, what I see from Ian looks more like appreciation than anything else.
Okay, this will sound like a Gucci beat before we even start. 100% this will start like a Gucci beat. 100,000%. And I'm 10 seconds in.
Brand new Margiela, same color of salmon. I don't.
Okay, yeah, he's doing a Gucci impression.
If he wasn't a white man, he would probably just be chalked up as a young guy who's inspired by the cultural moments made by Gucci Mane and all the people that came before him. Maybe at times a little bit too much, but you know, it's good marketing. But the problem is, it probably wouldn't have worked for him if he didn't look the way he looks. And he's introducing it to a new audience that may not have grown up on that sound. So they're gonna run with it as if it was his. But I guess let's talk about some established culture vultures, and maybe we can use that to make a final decision. People like Post Malone, Miley, Cyrus, MGK, DJ Vlad, Adam22. The list is very long. Some people like to throw Eminem on here. I'm not a fan of doing that. No matter how much, and let me tell you how much I hate the Eminem GOAT discourse, I wouldn't jump straight to culture vulture for him yet. I feel like he still has a genuine love for the art itself and doesn't step out of bounds of, you know, doing anything too profiteering. But I can be convinced otherwise, so y'all let me know in the comments. But what do Miley Cyrus and Post Malone have in common? Like, why those two specifically? Both of them have had a very interesting phase of blackness in their lives. Their come-up era, the time with which they gained the most popularity and had the most cultural significance, at least in terms of music, was when they were deep within black culture, making hip-hop, riding around with rappers, and just trying to be as black adjacent as possible. And then when it's time to go back to making pop music for a wide audience, you know, after you've built a good fan base up, built, you know, a solid income stream up.
I'm not a rapper. I'm an artist, you know. I don't make rap music, you know. I might rap, but I don't make rap music. I make, you know.
Come on, bro. That's kind of crazy, ain't it? But I guess what can you expect? They got the audience they were looking for, and now it's time to move on. Go back to their home audience. And that's exploitation. But that's also just capitalist business practice. So I guess good job. What about Adam22 and DJ Vlad? There's such a strange dynamic when it comes to these two. Me personally, I always wanted to root for DJ Vlad or Adam22. I like ingenuity. I like seeing people making, you know, real businesses out of the culture. But the problem I think a lot of other people have is that there's nothing really cultural about it anymore. At least that's not what they choose to cover, or that's not what they cover the majority of the time. It's really just the most, you know, violent people, you know, gang banging, murdering, you know, pimping, just any and everything that will cause a click, cause a view, and have people watch the ads.
I said Ben Franklin knows who the fuck I am, bitch.
Who you calling a bitch, though?
I'm calling you a bitch.
That's what they cover. Nothing super positive about the culture, which I guess you don't really have to. But when you're not of the culture and all you cover is the negative because that's what brings you the most money, that's what we like to call exploitation.
Hip-hop songs were not going to #1 at all in the 90s. Ever.
In the 90s and 2000, there were no #1 hip-hop songs?
Very few. Hip-hop was not dominating, was not pop music.
It was the #1 form of music.
Not in the 90s it wasn't. Absolutely not.
Rapping
Absolutely not.
hip-hop?
In the 90s?
In the 90s.
No.
So when was it the #1 form of music? Apologize to me, nigga.
I apologize. Hip-hop became...
Stop thinking you know more shit
hip-hop
about
became...
black culture than fucking black people.
Here we go. So you're actually right. Listen.
You know your facts like you know your rhythm, nigga.
Okay.
Fuck out of here.
And Adam22 is just insanely horny. Like, we're going to talk about that guy a little bit later. Unlike DJ Vlad, who in my lifetime may have never been the culture. I don't know about before me. But Adam22 at one point was and has fallen off drastically. But stay tuned for that video. I also said MGK, but I'm not talking about MGK. Or Tom McDonald or any of the other Eminem clones that, you know, just wanted to hop in the game because they seen another white man do it. Those ones are self-explanatory. But where does Ian fall? Where does Yeet fall? Where does any of the, you know, underground or maybe not so underground at this point artists fall? I think they still got time. There's plenty of career left for them to make. Yeet in particular did not get this same level of discourse. Probably because his sound was so different that it just wouldn't make sense. He did get some though, because that's just natural to get if you're a white rapper from Portland. But the main knock to Ian is he does sound like a lot of people we've heard before, just in white, which I kind of understand. But that could be said for a lot of people. I think in due time he can work it out. Sounds change every day. And personally, it's not for me right now. It may not be for you right now, but it's for a lot of people. And I just hope that he develops it into something all his own. I gave Post Malone the same amount of grace, but he went from being White Iverson to just being another white man, which I guess is fine. But he did have the opportunity to be like one of the people I like to bring up often in situations like this. Mac Miller, a man I think is beloved throughout the entire culture, and past just, you know, hip-hop culture, just in music in general, which is a hard feat to do, I won't lie, but it has been done before. Like a Paul Wall, who is a part of Houston culture 1000%, and by extension a part of the hip-hop culture in Houston. Or even an Action Bronson, who is just 100% himself and his culture and melds that with the music. All of them show a genuine understanding and a love for the culture from which hip-hop comes from. And they just create in such a way that doesn't come off as just like, yo, I'm just here for the money on. It's not that hard to do, but it is if you're not genuine about it. Because what's the difference between appropriation and appreciation? What's the difference between being a culture vulture and just genuinely enjoying what it is that other people do and trying to be a part of it? It's your actions. It's not your intent. Because good intentions can make for a lot of bad decisions. Like right now, Ian may have the greatest intentions, but if he gets disheartened by all the chatter around him and starts being only for profit, nothing cultural, nothing new, innovative, he's gonna start proving a lot of people right, even if at first he just wanted to be a part. And that's what psychology calls an other imposed self-fulfilling prophecy. Don't be Miley, don't be Posty. Well, you can if you want to. They made a lot of money. What am I gonna tell you? But for right now, he's good in my book. You alright, white boy. It may be hard to get accepted in, but once you do, the upside is way higher because you have a built-in audience. It's a give and take. But in any case, if you have a genuine appreciation for the culture and you stick with that, and you act on your intentions and don't leave them as just thoughts, you'll be just fine. But even if you do deviate from the path, you will still be just fine. What are words gonna do to you? What if somebody calls you a culture vulture? Your life's gonna keep going. You have the choice to prove them wrong or right. What Ian will do, I guess, is left to be seen. But with all that being said, that's enough what I think. What do you think?